Are you wondering how you can contribute to Funniest Thing?
Don't flip out. Go to patreon.com/funniest thing.
Whoa!
Oh!
That would have been crazy.
Welcome to the Funniest Thing,
Oh, yeah.
where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
You are not kidding.
I'm Darrell,
I'm Ed.
and we're broadcasting live from CHOBO Studios in beautiful
Downtown Van Nuys.
Yes.
Hold on. I got to talk to our side piece.
What's up?
Indy. Indy's not our side piece. It's Indy over here at CHOBO Studios. What did you write on the whiteboard?
Funniest thing with Darrell. Oh, with intents and purposes.
Oh, well, that's somewhat appropriate. How's your day going, by the way?
Doing wonderful. Just met Kea. It's been amazing.
You got a lovely guest in the green room, in the studio with you. Hi, Kea.
Hello.
in the control room.
Control room. Indy's all about control. Today's show is called Having Fun for a Living with Kea Meyers Duggan. She's amazing. Take off your UGG boots, UGH. Take off your UGG boots and walk in the direction you want to go. Because we have the power to co-create with God. The words we utter have enormous import. You want to tell them what utter means?
Yes, the etymology of the word utter. A lot of people don't realize this, including me until I discovered it.
Right.
Is utter
Mhm.
comes from the origin outer. And because the words we utter
Yeah.
end up in our outer experience.
Wow.
That's why they have that's why the words we utter, like it even says here, have enormous import.
That's right. So take care to speak only what you want to see manifested. It's God's will for you to have fun for a living. So let's stop being offended and welcome our good fortune. On this episode, Darrell and Ed encourage listeners to state their desire, trust the process, and know that divine timing will take care of all the details. And during the second segment, courage, permission slip, giver, Kea Meyers Duggan inspires us to release our limited perspective and allow our good to unfold with today's reading, New Beginning.
Yes, I'm having fun for a living is an affirmation anyone can do.
Yes.
Because the things we say, the things we utter,
Yeah.
end up in our outer experience. But the key component is the feeling nature.
Yes.
So if when you say, I'm having fun for a living, it gives you a little tingle in your tummy, well, then that means it's going into your subconscious.
Yes.
That's how you know when the things you're saying are going into your subconscious. And now your mind is going to start, your subconscious mind, which is connected to the divine mind, will now start allowing this new idea to take root, not just within yourself, but within your circumstances.
Right.
You know, I just heard a story from Reverend Ike.
Yes.
Darrell and Ed listen to Reverend Ike occasionally.
You can't lose.
With the stuff I use. If you could listen to him, you can access him anywhere on YouTube. We highly recommend it. He really breaks down the esoteric meaning of these biblical texts.
He's incredible, man.
So you can really begin to apply them to the way you approach life mentally and really see things start to transpire in a much better way.
You know, and he has, you said, I think, did you say transpire? I love that. Transpire. The Reverend Ike brings, you're talking about the emotional part of it. He brings that fire and that emotion that is required to really activate this stuff. Go ahead.
So he was telling the story. He was in Miami to do a talk, and he said, I was kind of walking early on the beach hoping I wouldn't be recognized. Because, you know, he's like totally upfront in his stories. And he said, a young man was coming towards me. He's looking at me, and I'm going, okay. And the guy comes up and says, Reverend Ike, is that you? And he said, yes, I'm Reverend Ike. And he says, you know what? I got to tell you, no matter what I do, nothing ever works out for me. I don't know what's wrong. And he gave Reverend Ike a litany of problems he had in New York.
Yeah.
And now he's in Florida thinking things would change. And no matter what I do, things don't work out of me. Work out for me. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? And Reverend Ike goes, well, my son, you just said it. Because he was constantly telling himself, no matter what I do, nothing works out for me.
Yes.
All the time, no matter what I do. And this is one little, I'm not going to read this whole thing, Ed, but this little quote, I don't know,
Go ahead.
I don't know where this woman got this quote, but it's in quotes. So we know it's not from her. And it says, first you have a belief, then you gather proof, which means, what's in our minds when we affirm things over and over, all of a sudden we start gathering proof in our own experience.
Right.
By the people, places, and events that start to happen around us. It doesn't just happen. And you know what I realized? We have the power to co-create with God. The words we utter have enormous import. And there's that biblical quote, which I'm going to paraphrase because I don't know it completely, but if you look it up, or if your listeners look it up, or some of you probably know it, that by your words, you will be condemned, or by your words, you will be prospered or blessed. I'm not sure the exact, but it gives both sides of the coin, simply reminding us that the things we speak to ourselves, or the things, and remember, thoughts are words, thoughts are talking. Thoughts
is Matthew 12:36-37 from King James. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned.
Yes. The law is always in effect, but I don't always remember that, folks.
Yes.
And the thing is, we don't get away with it.
Right, and that's why you got to do a morning routine, because just these voices, these tapes will assert themselves and try to convince me that there is, because they're like children that have been taught that there's one way to do it, or that if you can't do it any other way, or you're going to fail, or whatever scary stuff, right? Like we've been told either with words or just through the actions of the silent beliefs of the people around us, that it is not safe to live. Just do what you want to do. It's not safe to live, to have fun for a living. So these little kids these little voices inside will come forward and be like, Ed, you're having fun for a living. We learned a long time ago that leads to danger. It'll never work. But when I do a morning routine like I did today, then I get to insert a new voice into the conversation that says, I know you thought that before, but there's a new sheriff in town. There's a new divine law. Don't worry. You guys go out and play and have fun, and we're going to get richer than we've ever been. We're going to have more success than we've ever had, and we're not getting in trouble anymore. We're going out and we're living and we're blessing. So the morning routine where you meditate, some form of meditation, inspired reading. We start with the inspired reading, slide into a little meditation, and then do some affirmative prayer, even if it's in the form of writing an inspired to-do list or writing down an affirmation for the day. Darrell and I both do things like this. And then, because this gives us our best shot at having a new day. And then the way, like yesterday, my day started out like, yeah, I know what's real. And then like 20 minutes later, I was like, all these voices came rushing forward, and it turned into a tough pill to swallow. But because I had set this thing in motion, I learned a lot from the whole day, and I gained a new insight. And even though it felt almost worse, I actually made a lot of progress, and I lived a far more expansive, prosperous, fun day than I would have if I was just operating on these unconscious patterns. Because I've been stepping out boldly with work. Darrell's been kicking me in the behind because he's unwavering, because he's not the type, oh, it's okay if you suffer today, Ed. We'll still be friends. He's not going to want to be around that. It's like I was saying the other day, Darrell has the ability to make something sound so distasteful that you never want to do it again. And so that's the blessing. So I keep applying it to my own life, and it's getting better. But in the process, it's uprooting things that are, it's so funny because I thought, like I was telling my wife, I feel like I've kind of been disconnected from Darrell and this week. And then I realized, wait, actually, this is normal how I've felt in the past. I'm just becoming aware that I don't like feeling disconnected from myself during the week. And that awareness is helping me make changes. But it felt like it was getting worse, but it was really all of a sudden I was aware of what I had been putting up with before, which is slipping back into this form of self-punishment, not doing what I love, not doing what I think is fun because I'm afraid of whatever. And it's been, I just know for a fact that there's only more and more good to come. And okay, I didn't want to tell you this until we were on the air. We don't like me or anyone going to like a teacher.
Gurus?
No, happy hour. Because it's an oxymoron. Calling teachers getting together is typically, if we're after school to drink, is usually an oxymoron to call that happy hour. Usually it turns into commiserating and just, and I don't really drink anyway, so it's like.
Victim hero.
Yeah. So, but there's only one type of gathering that I go to like this, which is when my staff, there's 3 teachers in the special ed department at my school. We get the aides together. I mean, when I say we, thank God, Mama Bear, Angelica, who I work with, and Christina, they put this thing together. But I join, and we treat the staff that work for us with us to food, and they get the first round of drinks, whatever, So I go to that one because when I show up, it's like I know they love me being there, and I'm kind of just like blessing the situation. And I pay for a third of the tab. So this is the crazy part. I did not want anything more to do with school yesterday. I went by the beach. Darrell, I've been listening to Darrell, as soon as I don't have something to do out on campus, I go somewhere else.
Yes.
And I do something else with my time. And so I stopped by my wife's shop in Playa del Rey. It's called Vivera Boutique, which I think is going to continue now because for a while it looked like it might close, but I think it's going to continue. But I went there. I saw her. We talked. I started to feel good again. I kind of dumped all the crap I was feeling. I said, and then I was driving out of there and still not sure if I was going to go to the happy hour. And I happened to be going right in that direction. And it's totally not my kind of vibe. It's it's called the Yard House on Maxella, in the marina over there where the Barnes & Noble used to be. It's kind of like an Orange County vibe inside there, a bar with all these tables and stuff. So this is the thing I've been talking to my wife about. It's about having fun for a living is about staying connected to who I am more of the time.
Yes.
So I walked in there. I think I read a quote that Susan Hodgson had sent us, and I had sent an affirmative prayer back to her. And we're still connecting with myself. I went over to the shoe warehouse, looked at shoes for a minute, just stay in the flow. This is where it got crazy. I sit down at the table. It's a super long table. There's like 20 of us. And I see this guy, and I'm like, that guy looks like a guy I used to teach with, but he looks younger, like the actor version.
Uh-oh.
So
Ed saw what could be his positive future, I guess.
Oh, my God. So finally, he's our waiter. I go, dude, did you used to teach? He's like, yeah, I taught at Lynn Howe with you like 3 years ago. And I was like, holy smokes. I said, you look so much younger and happier now. And he goes, yeah, well, I had some issues with administration and this and that. I talked to my wife. Suddenly her job went from part-time to full-time.
Yeah.
I'm now working only full-time, but we're making more money than we ever have.
Yeah.
So, whoa, for me. But the other thing was, so then he talks to the manager. The manager used to teach preschool, doesn't teach anymore. The manager starts sending over free appetizers.
Yeah, of course.
And the whole thing just turned into this connected, having fun for a living. I was enjoying, my staff knocking it back. They're telling us how much they love us, and they're having fun, and how much they just appreciate loving us. Because this is what I realized too this week. Having fun for a living is really about giving. It's not I get a lot, but I have to be in a giving state to be having fun. If I'm not in a giving state, it means that I'm not valuing what I have to give. If I'm not valuing what I have to give, no matter how much I give of it, I will continue to burn out and I won't feel good. So it's like a two-part thing with giving. One is being generous enough and to give it. The other thing is valuing it enough to believe that when I give something that I have, that it actually has a lot of value, So it was amazing how that, and then my friend Jeff, he goes off his shift, and another teacher, former special ed teacher who stopped teaching.
Yeah. But you understand it's Christmas. If you're listening to this is just a few weeks before Christmas.
Right.
We're doing this show.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you just lived the Scrooge story of Ed. You don't have to have this corporate to be a grown-up and be okay.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of money doing a lot less because you'll be a lot happier. That's the key.
Yeah.
So
it's transforming my life too. I just want to say that. It's
you've got to believe this.
Yes.
You will make a lot of money doing a lot less because you're happier.
Yeah.
It's always been the case for me.
Yeah. And you know, the other piece that I learned this week that I shared it the other day, I'll do it quickly, but the verse where Peter is walking with Jesus and they're walking to some city and Jesus asks Peter, who's everyone saying that I am? And he's going, well, they're saying you're Elijah, the prophet. They're saying you're John the Baptist. Now, like a reincarnation or something. And I thought about this. The reason that's important is because those are people who talk about the coming of the Christ. They're saying it's
future.
coming. It'll come in the future.
But not now.
So then Jesus turns to Peter, and Peter represents our faith and discernment. And he says, but who do you say that I am? And he says, you are the Christ. You are the Lord. You are the law. And so this week, because I'm getting like under this hypnotic state, because it was grilled into me from a very early age that it is not safe to have a fun for a living. You have to have this type of a job. So when I go into that place in the morning, it's like I forget everything, But this week I just kept going, who do you say that I am? Because even though I wasn't able to fully conjure up like I am free and like leave in that moment, but I'm working toward that. At least I wasn't condemning myself because that's another story that talks about the development of our faith when Jesus says to Peter, before that cock even crows, I guarantee you're going to deny me 3 times. And Peter's like, no way, I never will. And then he woke up in the morning. He's like, I got to go to my job at the district. Who's Jesus again?
Oh, no. Who is Ed? I forgot who Ed was.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to this job I don't like because my mom said this is the way you do it.
Yes, that's even more exact.
I'm not going to be Ed today.
That is fantastic.
I'm going to be Eeyore because that means my mom will like me.
Right. That's so true. And mom's is nowhere to be found at this point. And she's thinking about totally other things. And that's why Darrell was so blessed to have like military guys go, wait, you're still talking about your dad? Is he here? You know that story you always tell? Yeah, it's amazing. So, but I'm living, I'm learning, I'm getting more and more free in my mind. And it's just a matter of time. By the way, if anyone's on YouTube and they're wondering why I'm wearing this red jacket, because I'm going to take it off. It actually was my wife's grandmother, a good friend and friend of the show, Gigi. Actually, she's left her body at this point. She's still with me, and I felt like she wanted to give us my wife and I a hug. I grabbed this jacket. Where's this red jacket come from? And it happened to be her sorority jacket. And if you're on YouTube, funniest thing with Darrell and Ed, you could see it. It's I felt like she was hugging me today. Plus, it was a little cold. It was keeping me warm. But I'm going to take it off now. But love you, Gigi. And that's what they called great grandma or grandma. So, but anyway, yes. That's a lot.
That was a lot.
Yeah, but a miracle, man. The whole thing at the Yard House last night was wild. It was so good.
Ed got the story from Charles Dickens, Christmas.
It's incredible. And I almost, part of me is almost not connecting the dots of how crazy it is that every one of those people used to teach. And
they were younger, happier. That's what I mean. It was the ghosts of your possible future.
Yeah. Dude, it's insane. I'm so excited, man. So, yes.
Well, this is the thing, folks. You do not need a psychic or a prophet because we are our own prophets.
Yes.
With the things I say about myself. So this week.
Yes.
Well, let me just tell the story. So this week, Lori got excited. That's my wife, folks. She wanted to get a piece of exercise equipment for the house. And when I leave my concern out of the picture because it's not really me.
Right.
But it feels like me sometimes going, oh boy, here we go. Another piece of exercise equipment. That means we like it for 15 minutes and then it's a coat rack.
Right.
So, but I didn't. And I started getting enthusiastic about, because I didn't go in there, I started getting enthusiastic about her desire for her new piece of exercise equipment.
Oh, I love that.
And she was online. She talked to a guy already. I mean, I was like, oh, okay. So I'm going to go in the direction the horse is going. And every time I do, with joy, magic happens. So first of all, I'm going to let you know how judgmental I am. Just so you know, we're not perfect here at Funniest Thing, folks. And that's why we use these tools on ourselves. So we're driving to the location. It was in Hawthorne to get the exercise equipment. She was telling me they've refurbished and they're, considerably less than new and all this. But it was still a considerable amount of money.
Right.
But at the time, I was like, this is nothing. $2,200. I'm going, this is nothing.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know how long you're going to live. When I'm in that space, man, magic happens. I'm going, that's nothing. I got a credit card. Why not? Look how happy she is. This is going to be good.
Right.
So she goes, yeah, she's been so nice. And his name is Ahmed. And our mind's going, oh, no. Just because it's not like Jack, Fred, my brain starts thinking, it's just an unusual name.
Yeah.
So I'm going, that's an unusual name. And think to myself, is this going to be, am I going to feel comfortable? Like,
right.
Because, it just seemed unfamiliar. So it was a little thing. And I go, no. And I told Steve, and Steve goes, this is probably going to be the most American person you meet.
Right.
So we get in there, and we're sitting, and I'm expecting, anything but what was going to come. We'll go get Ahmed. I said, all right. All of a sudden, this young guy, young, happy, fit, in his, I don't know, it could have probably been like 27 or 28.
Right.
He had a fraternity jacket on from when he was in college because it was a little cool that day.
Right.
So this guy is so nice. He brought out several pieces. He's not like a schwarmy salesperson at all.
Oh, man.
Turns out to be like the most, if you wanted to do what's an example of what would be the best representative of just an average good American, that would be like an ad to go around the world.
Right.
It would just
Ahmed.
It would be Ahmed. So Lori goes, wait a minute. And she says the fraternity name. She goes, oh my God. Her boyfriend from high school ended up being in that same sorority.
Oh, wow.
As this guy. I'm not
fraternity.
Fraternity.
Gigi was in the sorority. Ahmed, fraternity.
This is a fraternity.
That's funny. We were just called frat guys.
I know. We were just called frat guys.
I want to be in Ahmed's frat, man.
So anyway, we buy it. I get a military discount, 10%. We buy this thing. They're going to deliver it free of charge. And I'm high as a kite. I'm like, that was great. I go to bed, and when you wake up at 3 a.m. to use the bathroom, that's when the fears start coming.
Yes, the buyer's kind of
because the subconscious mind is actually during your sleep, folks. Remember this: if you wake up in the middle of the night freaking out, or if you wake up in the middle of the night and you go try to go back to sleep and you start thinking, oh, what about this? What about that? It's because when we're asleep, our mind is now sorting itself out. That's why if you don't sleep, you start getting
so true
in bad shape.
Yeah,
because during that time, it's going through. Oh, this can be thrown out. This is okay.
Right.
But what happens when we wake up? Our conscious mind now sees this mess in the living room that the subconscious threw all these papers out, and we don't know half that stuff he's going to throw out.
Yeah.
So I'm like going, oh, shoot.
So true.
That was a lot of money. And was that really worth it? Holy cow. And my mind is doing terrible things. It's going, shoot, that's like $200 a month for a year. That's like going to an expensive. And I go, Darrell, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You always have more than enough. And you always end up, whenever you spend this way, something comes back. And my mind was trying to stay negative and go, yeah, well, you're only getting, I taught a class this week. Just this week, I got paid $400 for an hour workshop.
Mm-hmm.
But my mind now is telling me, well, that's not a lot.
Right. Of course.
This came to $2,500.
Yes.
So I throw it all out the window. I go, no. And this is the thing, folks. I'm having fun for a living. You got to tell our minds what is true. And this is what I know for a fact. And this is why cognitive behavioral therapy works, is because thoughts that aren't true feel bad.
Yes.
Thoughts that are true feel very good. So me mulling over, this was a very expensive purchase. Now what? What am I going to do? How am I going to make up for this deficit? None of that felt good. And if you use cognitive behavior therapy, which is basically using these same techniques that have been around for thousands of years, they're in the Bible, they're every spiritual book. It's just worded differently.
Similar to the Byron Katie questions.
Yes, which are,
is this true? Can I prove it's true? How do I feel when I think about it? Which also includes what other thoughts go along with it. How would I feel if I wasn't thinking this thought?
Yes.
And then you turn it around after you've done that and think about the opposite.
Yes.
And every time you're like, wait, the opposite is actually way more true than what I was thinking.
yes.
Yes.
So I was able to let it go, and I'm just reminding myself, I always have more than enough. Another little affirmation I do if I'm worried about health, and I'm middle of the night affirmation.
Yeah.
Health, money, finances, whatever
I
I
like
do.
middle of the night affirmations.
I
That's
do
good.
this when I go, good health, happiness, success. Good health, happiness, love, success, prosperity, and money. Good health,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Happiness,
Yes.
love, success, prosperity, and money.
And plenty of money.
So that's from Reverend Ike also. So this is what happened.
Oh, is it? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's why my mind must have uttered that. Yeah. I
Good
thought
health,
so.
happiness, love, success, prosperity, and money.
And plenty of money.
So, but that just gets my mind now back in harmony with the universe, confident that all things work together for
Right.
good. The very next day,
Yes.
I also do another affirmation in the morning. I expect unexpected blessings.
Yes.
I expect unexpected income. I expect unexpected good news.
Right.
So, Lori calls me. Now I've let go of it. I'm not fretting over it.
Yeah, that's key.
I'm not thinking about it. I'm on to other things now.
Right.
My mind is already now, okay, I don't know how, but there's going to be, somehow we're going to get a boost,
Right.
because it's tax season too. So all this is contributing to, the end of the year. Oh,
right.
no.
Triggering those
Triggering that lack thinking, which is not true at all.
lackadaisical.
Yeah, that's where that word comes from. So the next day, Larry goes, oh, guess what? Because we were planning to go to a party. Today's Saturday. We just bought this thing on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, today's Saturday. No, we bought it on Wednesday, because it was going to be delivered on Tuesday, delivered on Friday. Okay, so we got delivered on Friday. Today's Saturday. Wednesday, the very next day after this, Lori goes, guess what? I just got an unexpected photo shoot. I'm like, holy cow. Yeah, it's going to be $2,000.
Wow.
I'm like, what?
Amazing.
What? I was like, first she thought it was going to be a little less than that. And I was like, that's almost the price of the bike. Then she goes, no, I just figured it out. They forgot to add my per diem. It's $2,000. I'm going, that bike is already paid for.
Amazing.
And then if you add the $400 I received.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. This stuff works. And if you practice it often, and it has nothing to do with me being special because I started getting in the habit of living this way because I was blown away, 37 years ago by a man named Mike Duggan.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I was like, this guy, I would watch him joyfully expect
Yes.
things to work out, and they always did. And I was like, I want to learn how to do that. I want to learn how to do that. And that's what all these books are talking about. And guess what, folks? We're sharing how to do it. But here's the thing. It sounds so ridiculously simple and foolish to our reasoning mind. And the word daring means to go. I actually wrote down this definition for us a while back. We have to be daring. The word daring simply means beyond what my reason denies me.
Yes. Dude, that's awesome.
And there are no barriers. We create our own barriers within our own thinking.
All right. That is amazing. That's an amazing story.
I know. One last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
The same night, I also had a fearful thought about jury duty.
Yeah.
And I put that little twinge. I don't want to have jury duty. And guess what I got the next day? I got a jury duty summons.
Oh my
God.
God.
But now I had to turn that around.
Yeah, you bless it.
And really bless it and enjoy it. And now I feel like an excited American.
Yeah.
This is not how I felt when I was worried about jury duty. I was like, how do oh man, this is my whole routines.
That's a race consciousness thought for sure.
No, I'm going to be a good American and show up. It's in Santa Monica.
Jen went in there one day and said she came away so inspired by that we have the system in place. Yeah. So Norman Lundy, You Unlimited, quickly said, I am moving into greater happiness. That's an affirmation. I am moving into greater happiness. No one has ever become so happy that he couldn't be just a little happier. You see, you've already done so much for your own consciousness. You are on the path to achieve a greater life through affirmative, right thinking. Stay with it. You soon will begin to prove yourself constantly that it works. This is living. When we are happy, God is happy.
Yes.
Because we are then expressing Him in all His creative joy. He is delighted when we work out His design for us with all the beauty He intends us to have. Reach for it. It is yours. And then Lois Conklin sent us a card. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. The quote says, love your life. Take pictures of everything. Tell people you love them. Talk to strangers. Do things you are scared to do. Make sure your life is the best story ever. Hi, last two shows were super and meaningful. Keep on going. Love, Lois Conklin. We definitely love you, Lois. And we got some stuff from Leslie Laird. We'll look at it when we bring Kea in after the break.
Yep.
Coming up next, Courage Permission Slip Giver. Courage Permission Slip Giver. That's what we all need is permission to feel courageous, to live from our heart, live from our joy, have fun for a living.
Yes.
Kea is going to inspire us to release our limited perspectives, allow our good to unfold with today's reading, which is New Beginning. And she brings a whole lot of other great stuff. So thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed right here from CHOBO Studios. Who's hiding behind that bush? All right, welcome back to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Today's show is called Having Fun for a Living with our good friend, Kea Meyers Duggan. Before we, I want to say hello exactly. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my God. We are so happy to see you.
Yes.
There was so much energy coming out of the green room when I walked in. I thought Indy was arguing with his partner. And I was like, I don't know if I should go in. But then I noticed it was joyous. I noticed it was joyous, and I came in and I saw the beautiful Kea. So nice to see you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, we wanted to. Darrell has a quick little reading that goes
From
along.
Anonymous.
From Anonymous. Anonymous writes so many good things.
Anonymous is one of my favorite authors.
Yes.
This Anonymous piece is power. Okay, here we go. And it's perfect for this topic.
Okay, let's hear it.
I take dominion, and it's read like an affirmation.
Yes.
So if you're listening, and if you're not driving, you can even close your eyes and listen to it. If not, it's just as effective. I take dominion over my thoughts and find my power. Sometimes it feels as though I'm a bystander on the sidelines of life, that things happen to me and I've no choice other than to accept unfavorable circumstances. But I can choose to empower myself by claiming my divine dominion.
Yeah.
And here it is, folks. My thoughts and words have power. In the past, I may have used that power haphazardly, unaware of my creative ability. As I have grown spiritually, I have come to realize power as one of my divine gifts. I can change my thoughts and replace defeating words with affirmative words of empowerment.
Yes.
Things may happen to me, but life happens through me. I am a divine being with power to create my life experience through my thoughts, words, and actions. And the Bible verses from John chapter 1, verse 12, but to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God.
Wow. Yeah. That power to change the way we think is so important. Otherwise, we'd all be kind of screwed, man. If we just had to go with the programming that was inside there,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to read the reading, but Foster McClellan says that if you don't have this book, Thoughts for a Friend, pick it up. There's a reading called Your Greatest Selling Job on page 23. And it basically is this. Your greatest selling job is to sell yourself to yourself, to reconvince yourself that you are amazing. That's what we're always doing. And if it's true of me, it's true of everyone else. It's principle. This stuff we're talking about. It's reclaiming our divine heritage, which is just reclaiming the truth of who we are. I wanted to also, so Leslie Laird sent us a card and a box of goodies. Leslie Laird sent us a very lovely card that you can see she made it herself if you're on, what's it called? YouTube, thank you. Yes. If you're on YouTube, if you're on YouTube and you've never listened to the podcast, find a podcast app. For crying out loud, it's 2023, man. Darrell and Ed, hope all is well in the land of fruits and nuts. I guess that's us.
No, that's California.
Oh.
Everything that's not glued down in the United States kind of rolls out here to the west.
Oh, I see. So she says, just a little something for you both as a token of my appreciation for all the joy and love you so enthusiastically extend every week on Funniest Thing. As I've said before, the ripple effect of what you are putting out there goes much further than you will ever know. I realize these gifts are kind of girly, but the message is one of universal love, and that knows no gender. Hope you like and enjoy them. All my love, Leslie. Okay, let's see what we got here.
Well, you're pulling that out. Let's see, on the envelope, there's a great quote here.
There you go.
It's by H.A. Milne, the author of Winnie the Pooh. Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, it could hold a rather large amount of gratitude.
Aww.
It's all right to cry.
Oh.
So what do we get in our little bag?
All right, we got bags, and in the bags, these are...
Mine says, give it to God.
Oh, these
It's a little tin.
Oh,
The
you
kind
know
that might have a little weed in it when you're in college, but it says it's a prayer box. Be
What does yours
completely
say?
humble,
Same as
gentle,
yours.
be
Oh.
patient, bearing with one another. Be completely humble, gentle, be patient, bearing with one another. And there's it's a God box.
Yeah, it's a God.
You can
mini
write little
God box.
prayers on there. Oh my gosh, Leslie
That's
Laird.
fabulous.
You know what? This is a good idea. The mine says, I am the Lord who heals you. Exodus 15:26.
And this is what the kids call the good stuff. Thank
Well,
you.
You know what else? I like that this is like this because if you're at home, a quick little God box can be made with an Altoid container and a little thing of Post-it notes and a small golf pencil.
Yeah, this says give it to God for crying out loud.
All right.
All right, we want to breathe together, Kea, before we get started with this, or as we continue this segment. You might know the song.
And then we got to thank somebody.
Wait, who sang this originally?
Donna Summer.
Summer.
And
Come on.
she was inspired. She was at a fancy restaurant in Beverly Hills, went into the restroom and saw the woman whose job was to clean the restroom was like sleeping, and that's where she came up with the she works hard for her money.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so it's dedicated. It talks about the person in the song. Can't remember all the lyrics now, but for our breath's sake, we found what while Donna Summers may have been inspired by, we know by this woman working hard, we know Donna Summers was having fun for a living, right?
Yes.
So let's just take a deep breath to clear our mind. We have fun for a living, so you know life treats us right.
Well, wait, maybe we should make it an affirmative personal one.
Give it, let's hear it.
I have fun for a living. And what's the second
So
part?
you know life treats me.
So I know life treats me right. You ready, everyone?
I have fun for a living, so I know life treats me right. Yeah, I know life treats me right.
Love to love you, baby.
So you can use that.
Now I'm going to be singing that.
If you're feeling less than having fun for a living, just try the song. Take that breath. I have fun for a living, so I know life treats me right. Dare to step out of a serious meeting or somewhere and do it, because it's about shifting to a different frequency, shifting out of the fear and lack and desperation. And the funny part is it blesses everyone, including the people in the meeting.
Yes,
And
yes.
just like it turned that restaurant I went to into this like personal, inspiring place by yesterday with the waiters coming forward and
A Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol. All right, was Carol the guy who played Archie Bunker too, right?
No, Dickens.
Okay. All right. Kea Meyers Duggan, you're here.
Yes.
What I want to ask you a quick question before
Please
we
do.
dip into your furious notes. What do you mean by courage permission slip giver?
So that moniker was given to me by a coach that I had because I was talking about what I do. We were talking about building my brand. And she said, and I was telling her about some of the conversations that I was having with my coaching clients. And she said, "Oh, so you're a courage permission slip giver." And I was like, yes, that is right. Because, and you all talked about this in the first segment, and you talk about this often about the stories that we tell ourselves and the stories that we get locked into, these like alternate realities. And the purpose of what I do is really trying to help people see like what else could be true. What else could be possible here? And so as a coach, that's my whole shtick, is to really be that outside observer that is not in your mind, that's not in the stories, that is really trying to help people see, is what you're saying true? What proof do you have of that? Which is what you were saying too. It's like, what's telling you that it's true? What else could be true? What power do you have in the situation? And so it's just giving people the courage, or helping them to tap into the courage, but giving themselves permission to do it and to not stay stuck in the expectations of what they think other people think that they should be doing, or how they think they should be acting or talking or what have you. So that's where that comes from.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's exciting because you're helping people dream. Because when we get locked into what I think is the limited view of what I want to, what we tend to do is create a limited view of not just what we think is possible. I think that gets kind of diminished when we start thinking about the limited view of what we think our ability is to make that, to get to that possibility. So all of a sudden, we start shrinking our vision of what we believe is possible for ourselves. So having someone like you around kind of helps us, number one, dream bigger. Be extravagant.
Yeah.
What would you do if you knew it's 100% in the bag and money wasn't a problem? What would you be doing?
Right.
And then what that does is it starts opening someone who's outside the box when my mind starts to shrink. And well, that's nice to think about. Blah, 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 blah. You're going, but look, you could do this. You could do that. Maybe you could do this. Maybe you could do this. Maybe you could do that.
Yeah.
And what happens when someone else sees it, because they haven't been thinking for a lifetime this limited perspective that person has had of themselves,
Yeah.
then you're able to go, well, you could take this route. And all of a sudden, because that's what happened to me. I met people that say,
Right.
well, this is possible. Or,
Right.
and it may sound absurd, but that's only seems absurd because it's beyond what I've been telling myself is possible for me up until that point.
Right.
Yes.
But once someone else tells me that I trust, that I believe has credibility, then all of a sudden I can just simply start to entertain that idea.
Right.
And that's all it takes.
Right.
Because once my mind starts entertaining it,
Yes.
then it starts to become possible. And now my world just got this much bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's right.
And it doesn't kill you to entertain the thought,
No.
right? Like you're not, it doesn't cost anything. It's not, you're not committing or locked into anything. But that's what I find is such a common theme when I'm having these coaching conversations is people don't have a vision beyond the box.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that's so refreshing about being able to help people to see that vision. And here's the thing, you have the vision and then we can start backing into it from where you are, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's start with what you have. If your resources are limited,
Right.
that doesn't mean you can't
That's
do
right.
anything related to
That's
your
right.
vision at
That's right.
all. So it's like, let's start with where you are and keep
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
keep building on that so that people can see, okay, well, I didn't die. I'm not living in my car. I'm not eating cat food. And then it gives you the strength and the courage
That's right.
to keep going and trying
Yeah.
something a little bit more. But you're having a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
I love this conversation, right? You're having a little bit more fun. You're sinking more into who you are,
Yeah.
your authentic self,
Right.
which opens up so many doors. I heard, in
Yes.
fact, I heard something the other day. I was sitting in on a talk with Emmanuel Acho. He's a former NFL player. He was doing
yeah.
uncomfortable conversations with a black man, but he was saying, when you're authentic, you're free.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it. You feel so
Yes.
good.
Yes.
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 You know, I saw a commercial this morning that said, fear either means forget everything and run or face everything and rise. And I thought about that and I saw that
You know
I
where
was,
they actually got that from, those thieves? It's face everything and recover. Because those two slogans
Yeah.
together have been used in 12 steps
Yeah.
or like
Right,
groups
right.
since the 30s.
right.
So this commercial guy tried to do a sneaky little
Yeah,
change
yeah.
the last
Well,
word.
they probably
but-
got it from somewhere too.
But you came up with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best. So
Yeah,
this
'cause
is the Ed's version.
those recovery thieves probably got it from somewhere
Of
else
course.
too. You know, someone that Jesus probably, whatever. So, but yeah, I get the point. So yeah, so I thought to myself, what would I like? And then I thought the first iteration was forgive everything and rise. Because we've talked about this on the
Holy
show
cow.
because if we try to face everything, first of all, we're the ones projecting all these fears out
Yes.
here. We're the ones making this nightmare. So if we then go to face the very nightmare that we're projecting, we're going to meet it. And we can spend our whole life making nightmares and facing them, but never getting the joy and the satisfaction out of life that we really could have right now. But the next iteration that I liked even better,
Yes.
which is kind of what I'm hearing when Kea, when you're talking with someone, we were talking about this in the green room, is forget everything
Yes.
and rejoice.
Yes.
It's like, because you have to forget the whole scary
Yes.
story and rejoice in the stuff that's already here, which is the truth, and go from there. Because I was saying the stuff that God's got in store, the stuff with the inspired ideas that we have within ourselves are not even close to what fear is telling. They're in a whole different
Yes,
literal
yes,
universe.
yes.
So forget everything and rejoice. I was talking to a young man, and what I told him at the end, because he was in a situation with relationships and stuff, and I told him, you got to let yourself feel and think about what you really desire. Because he was like, I can't do this because I don't want to hurt this other person. And at the end of it, I told him, think outlandishly. Let yourself think outlandishly, and then act with discernment. But you have to let yourself think outlandishly.
Yeah.
And I heard about this book. There's this book called Creativity. I read part of it. It's on my shelf, and it was like talking about how creativity is a 2-step process, and often we get them confused. One is brainstorming, creating, and one is the execution of the actual thing. And there's a bleed over, but a lot of people get so stuck on, well, I don't know how we could even execute that or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they're in this like execution mindset. And it really becomes the executioner of creativity, right? If it kills the ideas before they even have a chance to express themselves. Because usually what happens is this new idea sees everything totally differently. And now it turns the other thing so on its head that you have to forget everything you knew and rejoice in the new idea and let it be born. And it's an act of faith in the process. And before you know it, you're going to be like, why was I ever even believing in that limited concept? That was so far from the truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
And I was going to say the other thing about that is that sometimes people think that that thing that they're afraid of, which is, not something that's going to kill them, it's not something that's insurmountable, but the story that they tell themselves secretly is that they can't overcome it, that they can't deal with it. And when we go through a simple practice of just writing down all the things that you're afraid of, right? Like thinking about all the worst case scenarios. And then when you see it on a paper, you're like, that's what I'm afraid of? No, like I know what I can do with this. And so it's what I love to say, being in the energy of the what instead of the how and all the reasons why it's not going to work. Be in the energy of what it is that you're trying to create. And that creates that freedom, that creates that forgetfulness or that like 0 point where you're like, anything is possible from this point.
Yeah. And it could, for some people like myself, it could be a feeling, because I always used to get stuck when people would say that because I don't know exactly what it is, but like you said, we're saying kind of gather the information about what you do know about it because everyone processes things differently and comes about things differently. And for me, it's a lot of feelings. I get these images. I get this sense of myself being more of a creative director of what I'm doing. More like that's one of the things that's starting to be, what they call it, like non-negotiable for me. I realize like in the job in the school district, there's times where there's things that override my creative director mind. And when that happens, I start to slowly die. I don't, it does not feel good because I'm the expert there and I know, and I don't even always know how I know, but I know. And I realize, so it's a non-negotiable going forward that like, that's why Darrell and I do the show because if something just doesn't feel good, he'll tell me or I'll tell him. And we don't even really have this very much anymore because we worked it out for so many years of like, I'd say something that was like some canned thing or something. And then he'd be like, it's terrible. And I'd go, oh yeah, that is terrible. That's not really what I think. That's something that sounded good to say, and back and forth we become, it's like a truth detector. Where's the juice? It has to have that juice. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. When you said, what did you say? Forgive everything.
Forgive everything and rise. That we moved into forget everything and rejoice.
Yes. So it's funny because this week in my notebook, and then I put it on a postcard to Kirky or one of my friends, because everything we share with others, we share to ourselves. What I say to others, I'm actually saying to myself. So I was thinking, that's why I put right here. So let's stop being offended and welcome our good fortune. Because in my book, I realized, when I'm not busy being offended, which is another word, folks, for being unforgiving.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It also is another word for being scared.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
Yeah.
But when I forgive and like immediately something offends me, I go, no, I let it go. I wrote, I am elevated to the frequency where my good fortune is.
Ooh.
I'm once again tuned in to my good. I'm remagnetized.
Yes.
So I could stay upset or unforgiving. You name it. I don't care how, like, horrendous things, yes. But if they're over and you're not in it now, if you're not forgiving, you are killing yourself. Yeah. You are punishing the wrong person.
Right.
Yes. Oh
And there was a old time English write up where it says, when a bee stings, he kills himself. And isn't it funny how many men are busy killing themselves like bees stinging others?
Yeah.
Oh, but here's the exciting part. Think of it this way. When you start feeling, even like, this driver, what about this? Something you hear on the news. Just go, yeah, but every time I choose to let that go, or if it's something horrendous from the past,
Right.
it's time to let it go. The story Ed was talking about was, I was in a military rehabilitation center. I went in there in the group, and it was all, there was a Navy chief, which is high up in the Navy. It's highest. This guy was like a master chief, which is the highest enlisted you can go. So he's like a battle-tested, tough guy, but loving, but very loving. So we're in the group, and I started talking about my dad and how it probably affected me and this and that. And he says, so wait a minute. I was stationed in Hawaii. So wait a minute. Your dad's living out here in Hawaii? And immediately I go, I'm done. This guy's going to kill me. Because I immediately saw the lesson he was teaching me. But you know how we're convinced we're allowed to keep talking about how, my dad was like this, and that's why my brain's like this. So he said, oh, okay, so where is he? Back in New Jersey? Because he knew that's where I originally grew up, where I was originally recruited from. So I said, no, well, where be busy. And this is in front of other group people. And I said, actually, he passed away. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. Did he just pass away? No. He goes, when did he pass away? And I said, 5 years ago, when I was 18 or 17. And he said, wait a minute. Your father has been dead for 5 years, and you're still carrying his carcass around with you?
Oh, my God.
He says, oh, my God. So that's what we're doing.
Yes.
But here's the good news is, once we can let go of that, forget it, forgive it, you naturally you tune into a higher frequency, and you're going to see how, that happened, yes. But you know what? Now I'm using it for good, and it also helps me to use it to help others who may have gone through the same situation and be a little more empathetic, not sympathetic, but like this guy. Empathetic, where he emotionally understands what went on, but he knows the benefit of letting go, and he might have to kick me upstairs by the thing he said, but you know what? I never forgot that lesson, and it helps me forgive the things that happen on a daily basis that I get offended by. It could be a bumper sticker, it could be anything. As soon as you let that go, folks, whoop, you're back in tune with your good fortune. But as long as I dwell on that, I'm out of sync with my good. I'm killing myself. The real me, like you said about when we're not being creative. Being offended is a way to, criticizing is the best method, is the best defense against joy. Criticizing is the best defense against joy.
Yeah.
And I want to let it go. I mean, I do it, but I definitely do not do it. I lived my whole life critical, up until learning this stuff. Days.
Right. I hear that.
Any new thought had some negativity attached to it.
Right.
Not anymore, folks.
That's so good. But I love that you said, like, this kind of stuff takes practice. This is a major muscle that you have to build, because, and I've heard you say, this happens to me too, where, like my therapist will say, so what would you tell a client to do? And I say, well, I'd say this to this. She was like, so can you use it too? But it is like, it's none of this is a magic bullet. It's, you have to work at it, because we have a negativity bias, and it's so easy to go right back to that low, dark place.
Right.
But when you practice this stuff, it makes it so much easier, and you get back on track quicker.
Yes.
But you have to work at it.
And the good news is, prosperity or success experts, and I learned this from Catherine Ponder, they have concluded that success is 98, this is the work, is 98% inner mental work and only 2% outer action. Outer activity by myself. But most of us have been taught the opposite.
Yes.
It's not push and shove and make it happen. I got to do this.
Right.
But the thing is it's the odds are stacked in our favor, and having fun for a living is really God's will for us.
Yeah.
We just have to stop fighting against it because it seems too ridiculously easy and outlandish.
Yeah.
But that's only because the news tells we're surrounded by information that tells us that's not the case.
Right.
And you got to always fight and protect and get angry and be upset for others and upset at others.
Yeah.
But if we just let go of all that, and this isn't new information. I mean, people have been talking about this for thousands and thousands of years, even before Jesus. You know, the Greeks were talking about this. Even before that, there were Egyptian
and Hawaiians,
people and Hawaiians,
Polynesians.
Yeah, this stuff, these, and that's what makes, that's the definitive proof that these are principles.
That's right.
Because otherwise, people living at different times in different parts of the world who stumbled upon the realization that love is the key ingredient to success.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is the key ingredient to success. Joy is the key ingredient to success. Like all these things in the recipe, they wouldn't have concluded that. But we go along going, no, I still want to look at this mean-spirited YouTube video.
Right.
It won't hurt.
Yeah.
Yes, it will hurt. It hurts every time I do it. I still sometimes do it.
After hearing all this, I really think it is, first of all, it's all an inner process. So it's face it and forgive it within your consciousness.
Yes.
Not out there. Face it and forgive. Face it and rise within your own consciousness. Face it, forgive it, and rise in my own consciousness. And then forget it and rejoice.
Yes.
Forget everything and rejoice.
Yes.
So it's face everything, forgive everything, and rise, then forget everything and rejoice.
Yeah.
And it's an inner process, and it requires creating a relationship with yourself and your mind and recognizing how important that is. And this is when you were talking, this ties into being a giver. When I'm critical of myself and others, it's what Emmett Fox calls bear hugging the kettle. The bear comes out of the forest and sees this pot that's boiling and grabs a hold of it, and then it's burning. And instead of letting it go, it pulls it tighter to itself. And it burns and it burns and burns, and then it's pulling tighter. And this is what, for some reason, I think it's because of the way thoughts have momentum, and they like attracts like in the thought world. So unforgiving thoughts attract more to be unforgiving about. Criticism attracts more to criticize.
Yeah.
But all of that, I can't do this and be a giver. Yeah. And there's a lot, and giving is a feeling thing too. Life has to be felt by you, by me. It's not a secondary thing like, I'm giving by going to this job, and but how do I? That's the subtler thing is when I go there. Am I really giving of my true self?
Yes.
Am I really an open conduit for my own joy to flow through? And so that, like this week, like I said earlier, I noted that old constricting feeling related to work, and it was like so perplexing because I was going in and out of joy, and then joy, and I sat down, I think this morning even, I said, okay, this has gone on long enough, because this little voice was telling me, you'll never let go of this one. You'll never be able to let go of these thoughts or these fears. And it was so like rationally, I'm like, this seems so outlandish, but it was an emotional, older pattern of going, you'll never let go. And I was just like, yes, I will. And in fact, this is going to be so easy for me. This morning, once I meditated and once I faced it, forgive and everything and rise, forget it. I said, in fact, it's going to be the easiest thing I ever did. In fact, I'm going to laugh at how easy it is for me to let go of this thing.
Yes.
That in that old me at 5 years old or whatever, in a house where everyone was believing it, that they couldn't let go of it. They were my God, And so that reality, there was a reality projected around me in which these things can never be released. They're too hard. They're too scary.
Yeah.
But I told that part of me, not only is it going to be easy, it's going to be fun. In fact, I've already let it go. What do you know? We already did it. And like played that way with myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and as a result, that part that we have a little kid who's is telling us these things, and we've been so used to listening. And it's all love. There's not judgment in that part either. It's all love, but it's like seeing that, oh my God, I've been listening to a scared 5-year-old kid that needs me to love him and tell him this isn't hard or scary. And it's not sacrilege to let go of that religion that was in your house, because the religion is what people were thinking, right? Like really believing, not where they're going and what were they believing and putting their emotion and investing, and it's like, I'm telling it's like, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and you're doing great, and this is easy. Yeah. And I'm already feeling it.
Well, there's I just want to say there's one Bible verse, because you brought it up, and I've been thinking about it a lot lately. It's from Psalms 27.
Yeah.
And it's a very praiseful one.
Yeah.
But in there it says, when my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Well, it means exactly what you said. It means when these because father and mother means intellect and feeling.
Right.
When the Bible, the esoteric meaning, the father is the intellect, the thoughts, and the mother's the feeling. If you don't have both, nothing happens. But if you have the thought and the feeling, things work. Which brings us to the Lord, which could be replaced with the law will take me up. So when I can finally let go, and this could be literal and esoteric,
right?
When you finally can let go of these old thoughts, intellectual thoughts, and feelings that we have been told by others, well, then there's good news.
Yeah.
Because now you know how to apply the law.
And not only that, but
and
the
that
law
will take you up in the new direction.
Yeah. And the law will take you up because the law is ever increasing good.
That's right.
And it's already happening.
Yeah. Yes.
It will pull us in the direction.
Because I was thinking literally for me, because I could tell a real sad sack victim hero story, but the truth is, when my mother and father got out of my, left my life, mine and my brother's, well, then I could say, well, then if I want to use the word Lord as God, well, then God took me up, meaning there were new people and circumstances. I was never deprived of this ever increasing good.
You got more of it.
More and more and more. So it's amazing that you said it that way.
Yeah,
Ed.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So what I was going to say, and this is connected to that letting go, just recently, I was so locked into this one way of thinking because I was just seeing things one way, like things aren't working out. It's not going my
Yeah.
I'm imitating. It's not going my
it's
way.
good to imitate like that because that's that baby
that's
voice.
what it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was causing so much pain and discomfort and anger within me, and I was like showing up to the day mad and like
right.
I texted you,
Yes.
Darrell, about like, I know in my heart and in my soul that like faith is gonna take care of this, but I could feel the like, I could feel that just continuing to bring me down because I was choosing to stay in that like tension, and I felt called, like I had to go into prayer because I'm like, something else has to be at play here.
Yeah.
It has to be. It can't be this.
Right.
Because I could feel like my soul dying every day. And so I did. Like I started that Sunday. I use a passion planner and it will say, what do you want your focus for the week to be?
Yeah,
and
nice.
I literally said vision. I said, Lord, please let me see what else there is to see. I know that there is something else. And so I started each day. So you talked about the morning routine.
Yes.
So that I could set myself up
Yes.
for the day, for the week. And I just took it one day at a time.
Yep.
It was like, I'm not going to upset the apple cart. I'm just going to do one day at a time.
Right.
And it was like, okay, what do you need me to see today?
Yeah.
What different truth do you need me to see today? And letting go of the,
Yeah.
it was still there,
Of course.
but I wasn't focused on it.
Right.
And when it came up, I would just say, maybe there's something else. And I felt and noticed a transformation immediately.
Yes.
And I love what you said about, when you're not in a giving state, you're not valuing what you have to
Yeah.
give. And so I was thinking about how I was shutting down, like no one cares about that.
Right.
Yeah.
I was shutting down part of my essence, which is to have
Yeah,
conversations
right.
like this. I can do that in corporate America,
Yeah,
right?
you
Like,
can do it
in fact,
anywhere.
it's
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah.
It's needed.
Yeah.
And so I discovered that when I was letting the little pieces of my light start coming in, and I was letting go and not like, not like arguing for. Les Brown says, when you argue for your limitations, you get to keep
That's
them.
right.
And so I was not arguing with the
Yes.
this sucks.
Right.
I
Yes.
was like, maybe there's something else here. And I felt this immediate transformation of like, that's interesting.
Yes.
I was able to see people's humanity even
Yeah.
more, right? Instead of having a belief about a particular person, I was like, let me just go into this open-minded. And I was like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
like they're really nice. Like they're a regular person. And it completely
Yes.
shifted my mood. It shifted like feelings of abundance.
Yes.
It shifted to feelings of like, you know what? This is going to work out.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start with where I am. Right?
Yes.
I may not be where I want to be.
That's right.
But let's like
Yes.
what's going good now,
Yeah.
and like just paying attention to those little itty bitty things. Just in a few
Yes.
days' time, it made a huge difference.
Yes.
But I had to be intentional about
Yes.
what else do you need me to see,
Yeah.
Lord?
Right.
Please. What else? Ancestors.
Yes.
I was calling in everybody, right? Like
course.
what else
Yes.
is needed to see? And it completely shifted things completely. So it does, but I had to be intentional about it
That's
every
right.
day. I couldn't start on Sunday say, I've got this. I'm going
Right.
to see something different
No.
because you get into a meeting, you get with
Right.
someone who's in a bad mood and you're like, "Meh,
Yeah.
it
Yes.
stinks. This stinks. Of course it does. Right. So I had to work at it. And each day I had to start over again. Like, okay,
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
there's something
Yep.
else different to see
Yep.
here today. And it does. It works when
It
you're
works.
intentional with it.
That is being transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yeah.
Well, the best part you
Yes.
said, and this is the one thing that CBT lacks, because the
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Therapy.
because
Yes.
because the VA introduced me to that.
Mhm.
But here's what I found lacking from that: it's missing the most important ingredient, which is the faith component.
Mm.
I don't care what your thoughts are, what you're about religion or God, or what even your religion is, because they all come down to the same thing. But there's something about being able to know that there is a power in the universe for good and I could use it.
Yes.
And in addition to discovering, which is what you did, okay, I'm focusing too much on that. We know what the problem is, but there's something about having the faith to ask this power. I choose to call it God. You could, just because it's a simple word that I've known my whole life. And pray, please show me or inspire me. It works because I know what I don't want and I'm willing to let go of it.
Yeah.
And I need help to move to the next.
Yeah.
And you get results.
Yes.
The proof is in the
Yes.
pudding.
Yes.
And the other thing
Yes.
is persistency, which is a dirty word to people like me who want to be lazy, but the persistence of just doing it every day. And now the persistence in the morning routine and setting my day with intention, like you said, it's no longer a decree. It's become like something I desire every morning.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and that's having fun for a living.
Yes.
That's the
Yeah.
other thing is that I'm sure your week was much more fun doing it this way, right? Like, 'cause I did the same thing at my job.
Yes.
I was getting swamped by the list of things that teachers get on their list, paperwork. What about that log? Did you do this?
Log.
Yeah, it's called exactly. That's all you need to hear. The log. And I noticed the people around me were getting sunk by this stuff, and I was like, I had to be irrationally in the mood, what felt irrationally in the zone of, you know what? I'm not doing anything that's not fun today. I'm not. And what I found out was, oh my God. I was the one, those people aren't telling me log, that in my head. I was the one telling myself that all day long. No wonder I was sinking.
Yeah.
As soon as I changed it to fun, that stuff took on its proper place, which is what I really wanted all along. And then I started realizing, man, what I'm supposed to be doing here is teaching these kids, not worrying about this paperwork that's like supposed to be done, right? And so then I started having more fun with the kids and having more, but I had, it's more fun, having fun for a living. It's so fun to realize that there's more abundance, because that's the other thing. When we're in the log jam, our whole world, so much of it is a log jam of just thoughts about what we think we have to do before we're in a position to give and have fun and love. And it's all BS. It's total bad science.
Yeah.
It's not true.
Yeah.
It's showing up and knowing. I don't know how. That's another thing. I don't even know how, but I'm going to go in there and give love, and it has transformed my whole week and now we're close. Both of us are closer to whatever that thing is where we think, where we know we are belong and where we want to be, because when we're there, that's the kind of, we want to show up as that person, right? Yeah. And once we've shown up in this situation, that part's going to be easy.
Right. Right.
Like,
and when you're doing that, when you're showing up fully, being who you are, being who you were meant to be, like what, following your assignment, right? Yeah. Like that helps other people. Right? It helps them be like, oh, well, she's not bogged down by this, so let me, So it's just by us giving to others and pouring into others, not only are they getting what they need, but then we're also in a place of receiving too. So we're giving and also receiving, because we're seeing other people respond to us being our like free, authentic selves. Yeah,
and last night when I was at that thing, the only reason I go to that type of happy hour is because I'm the creative director there.
Sure.
Right? So I'm receiving what I want to be doing more of by giving these people the thing that I wish I was getting from leadership. Right. People. Yeah. So I'm being that for these people, and that's like giving me more of what I want, and I will get more of it as a result.
Yes.
Do we want to get the anonymous reading in?
Yeah, we have another anonymous reading.
We could go all day.
And then we'll thank Comfort.
Oh, yeah. Hey, before you read that, we want to thank Jeff Comfort. He does the audio. He's out there in Kansas City, Kansas.
That's right.
Posts the audio for us, puts in some sound effects, and each week
he takes us
right into the comfort zone. Yeah.
Right. I hope he listened this far when he was.
I'm going to tell him.
So he puts in his jet.
I'll tell him.
The flyby.
I'll tell him he's coming in at the end. All right.
Okay. All right. My mind is filled with the all goodness of God. Today is the beginning of a new me. New beginning.
Yes.
I am learning to live one thought at a time, one day at a time. Every day is the beginning of a new me. Just as a house is built one brick or one board at a time, I build my life one thought at a time. As I keep my thoughts centered on the attributes of God, such as love, harmony, peace, divine order, and wisdom, I know that my world will conform to my thoughts about it. I know that all things work together for my highest good. Whenever a troublesome thought or an unkind remark comes to me today, I banish it quickly and cling to the all goodness of God, the source of happiness and peace of mind. I pray, thank you, God, for your love, peace, and wisdom flowing through me. I am sustained, uplifted, and ready for the beginning of a new me. And the scripture is, be renewed in the spirit of your minds and put on the new nature created after the likeness of God. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 23 and 24.
Wow. That's the summary of this show, folks.
Totally.
Bingo, bongo.
Right on the money.
Kea, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Kea Meyers Duggan. You can find me on LinkedIn, Kea Meyers Duggan.
2 G's?
2 G's, and also on YouTube.
Nice.
Kea Meyers Duggan.
That's
All
Kea,
making it,
correct?
That's right. KeaMeyers
She knows how to spell it better than all of us, folks.
Yeah. You can feel this good even more often. So follow Kea Meyers Duggan, reach out, work with Kea.
Oh.
We're so glad you're here. Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you for the invite. I'm always so uplifted by our conversations. Thank
Yes.
you.
This story didn't. We didn't really spend any time with reviewing this.
Ed does research with TMZ and finds stories about our guests, so we're not sure how this one's going to go over.
Right. Well, Kea's always been one to explore the truth, want to know the deeper meaning of things.
I'll be playing the part of Kea, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. One year when Kea was a young girl, she secretly followed a department store Santa to the changing room. The man came outside. She waited outside of the changing room. The man came out in his street clothes, and Kea yelled,
I knew it!
The man yelled, uh-oh. You knew what?
I knew that Santa wouldn't be able to keep an eye on all those girls and boys without a secret identity. She was such a sweet girl.
I knew we were supposed to review this, but Kea got here so early. Oh, my God.
Because he was wearing street clothes. That's his secret identity, folks.
He was worried that Kea had discovered there is no Santa.
But instead, she was so believing and positive and sweet. She saw it as, Santa's undercover, watching us boys and girls in these contemporary clothes instead of his red suit.
So like all good jokes that require a 5-minute explanation afterwards.
In other words, all our jokes.
That is the story of Kea and the department store Santa.
Because I saw Indy was like, I don't get it. I was like,
I know.
It just wasn't funny.
Well, wait a minute. Well, then you should have just put on a normal laugh because none of these are funny. You should be used to that.
Once in a while, we actually tickle the funny bone, but
This wasn't one of those times.
the good news is we're having fun for a living. Having fun for a living. We have fun for a living, so life treats us right.
Visit DarrellandEd.com.
Kea Meyers Duggan, thank you.
Everything we do. And thanks again for being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed.
We have fun for a living. We so much fun for a living. We have fun for a living, so life treats us right. Yeah! Woohoo!
$500. Really? See, $200 for you, sir.
$100 for you.
What the heck? No. $100 for you. No way. Are you serious? Yeah, I'll give you $100. Of course. Thank you so much.
When you record your podcast at CHOBO Studios, you're helping people in need. Here at CHOBO, we take a bold stance on helping the community by giving away 10% of all revenue, not just profit, to kind, hard-working people in the streets of Los Angeles. And thanks to all these wonderful podcasters, we've been able to give $1,400 this year alone through our kindness initiative, CHOBO Kindness. Brought to you by CHOBO Studios, LA's premier podcasting powerhouse. Follow for more.